Giridhari. Gopi Janavallabha Giridhari. Yasudhanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yasudhanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Can you play the Midanga? Yasudhanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Jamunatira vanachari. Jamunatira vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radha. Jaya Panchatattva, Jaya Panchatattva, Panchatattva, Jaya Panchatattva. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Srila Prabhupada. Nitai Gariba, Hariba, Hariba, Hariba. Jaya Vishnupad Paramahamsa, Parivaja Kuchaya, Astor Kusadat Sisima, this divine grace is confounded. Srila A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada Maharaj Ki Jai. Jaya Vishnupad Paramahamsa, Parivaja Kuchaya, Ashtavatosatath Systema, this divine grace, so the Bhakti Siddhanta, Saraswati Thakur, Goswami Prabhupada Maharaj ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnavina ki jai, Namacharya Sri Haridas Thakur ki jai, Prem Si Kahau, Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Si Advaita, Gadadhara, Si Vasadi, Si Gaura Bhaktivinoda ki jai, Sri Radha Krishna Gopal Gopinath, Shyamakunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan ki jai, Sri Vrindavan Dham ki jai, Sri Mathura Dham ki jai, Sri Mahapanavadev Dham ki jai, Sri Jagannapura Dham ki jai, Ganga Ma Yamuna Maya ki jai, Srimati Tulsi Devi Bhakti Devi ki jai, Sāma Veda Bhaktivinoda ki jai, Nitai Go Premanandi. Our glory to the Sāma devotees, our glory to Sāma devotees, our glory to Sāma devotees. Our glory is our glory to Sister Gauranga. Can someone have to put up this fan? Yeah. Thank you. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam namaskritya naram cheva narottamam devim saraswati vyamsa tato jaya mudirayet. Nasta prayesva bhadesu nityam bhagavata sevaya. Bhagavati uttama suki bhakti bhavaiti naistike. So Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 6, text 24 to 25. What is on the board is text 25. So, yeah, we'll go with that. Vastūny oṣadhayaḥ snehā, rasa-loha-mṛdo jalam, riko yajñasya samani, cātur-hotraṁ chasatama, vastūny oṣadhayaḥ snehā, rasa-loha-mṛdo jalam, riko yajñasya samani, cātur-hotraṁ chasatama, vastūny oṣadhayaḥ snehā, rasa-loha-mṛdo jalam, riko yajñasya samani, cātur-hotraṁ chasatama. Can someone try? For performing sacrificial ceremonies, from reports, leaves, Mataji's. Yes, Mataji's. Anyone else? All right. Word for word translation. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace is confirmed. I'm sorry. Translation, a word for word translation, translation and purport by His Divine Grace is confirmed. Acharya Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Vastūny, utensils. Oṣadhayaḥ, grains. Snehā, clarified butter. Rasa-loha-mṛdaḥ, honey, gold and earth. Jalam, water. Richaha, Ṛg Veda. Yajñasya, the Yajur Veda. Samani, the Sāma Veda. Cātur-hotraṁ, 4 persons conducting the performance. Cha, all these. Sattama, O most pious one. Translation. Other requirements are utensils, grains, clarified butter, honey, gold, earth, water, the Ṛg Veda, Yajur Veda, and Sāma Veda, and 4 priests to perform the sacrifice. Please responsibly repeat. Other requirements are utensils, grains, clarified butter, honey, gold, earth, water, the Ṛg Veda, Yajur Veda, and Sāma Veda, and 4 priests to perform the sacrifice. To perform a sacrifice successfully, at least 4 expert priests are needed. One can offer hota, one can chant udgata, one who can kindle the sacrificial fire without the aid of separate fire, adrayu, and one who can supervise Brahma. Such sacrifices were conducted from the birth of Brahma, the first living creature, and were carried on till the reign of Maharaj Yudhishthira. But such expert Brahmana priests are very rare in this age of corruption and quarrel. And therefore, in the present age only, the yajñasya of chanting the holy name of the Lord is recommended. The scriptures rejoin, Harinama, Harinama, Harinama eva kevalam, kalu nasti eva, nasti eva, nasti eva, gantriyanta. So, I quickly go to the previous text. I just read the translation. For performing sacrificial ceremonies, one requires sacrificial ingredients such as flowers, leaves, and straw, along with the sacrificial altar and a suitable time, spring. Om Agyanam Timirandasya, Jnana Salakaya, Saksolomintam Yenastasmai, Sri Guru Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manovistam, Stapitam Yena Bhutale, Swayam Rupam Kadamayam, Dadati Swa Padantikam. Vanchakalpataribhyacha, Kripasunambhya Evacha, Patitanam, Paranambhyo, Vaishnavibhyo, Namo. Vande Sri Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Sahodito Gudutaya Puspavanto Chito Chandu Tamonadu Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gatarara Sri Vasada Sigora Bhaktabinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Itinam Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharina Nirvisesa Sanyavadi Pasatyadi Satarina. So welcome to everyone for sparing your precious time to come to the Bhagavatam class. I want for a new person who just comes in, you'll be wondering why all these rituals of so many prayers before you start the class. Why don't you just go straight to the class? Why don't you just go straight to the verse and, start speaking on that verse? Yeah, we don't perform by ourselves, and we're not able to function on our own. We are dependent on the mercy of the Lord. And so our acharyas have set down this a process of even how to give a class, that we invoke the mercy of the acharyas. Because traditionally, when you are sitting on the asana, you are actually representing Srila Vyasadeva, the author or the compiler of the Vedic literature. And some of the things that you may have to say may not be something that you have learned. He just inspired to say it. And you find this, those who have been preaching, you're going on Sankirtan and someone asks you some question and maybe you have never even read about it. And the answer just comes from nowhere. Boom. And then you answer and then the person becomes so satisfied. And then you wonder, how did I get this idea? So, sharing the message of the of Godhead in the Bhagavatam is also like that. And in these two texts, we've been told, we've been given some vivid, Prabhupada has given some vivid, or Vasudeva has given some vivid procedural methodology of what to do when you talk about sacrifice. There are so many things required. And in the Prabhupada mentions that the very phenomenon of sacrifice has been there and is being implemented, is being executed. People have been performing sacrifice right from the birth of Lord Brahma. That means how many years ago? Yes? For us, we will say it's since time immemorial. And so, each and every age, what is the purpose of sacrifice? Is to please Lord Vishnu. According to Bhagavad Gita, Krishna mentions this himself. Who remembers that verse? Yes? We're not hearing you. You agree with her? Huh? That's what she said, right? You agree with her? Huh? Okay. You're not sure, then you're hesitant to confirm. Thank you. So, Krishna is the enjoyer of all sacrifices. He mentions that in the Bhagavad Gita. And the reason why we're not able to have a steady or sustainable peace is that we fail to perform sacrifices for the pleasure of Lord Krishna. He is the enjoyer of all sacrifices. People are looking for peace in this world. After the First World War, the League of Nations was established to bring about peace. But peace was not forthcoming. There was the Second World War. And then the United Nations was set up to prevail over conflicts, international conflicts, but it's not working.
If you buy some electronic gasket, first thing you do is to read the manual, how to use it. If you don't read the manual and you start operating it, you may destroy it, you may spoil it. So, the universe, or precisely our Earth planet, is also like an electronic gasket. The leaders of society need to understand what the content of the manual, how to operate this machine. But then the failure of the peace efforts is that people fail to understand that if we want peace, we have to perform sacrifice for the pleasure of Lord Krishna. That is the missing link. Otherwise, there is nothing lacking in this material world. It's just that people, we are in a state of denial. We deny everything. I mean, it's like, let's not go into that, but we are in a state of denial. So here in these two texts, detail has been given regarding the paraphernalia, what is required to set up a sacrifice. And the people who have the required manpower, we want manpower. Anything we want to do, we need manpower. So even performing sacrifice, we need manpower. We need some priests to do the invocation ceremonies, to do the lighting of the fire. And lighting of the fire, it's not like modern days where we use matches we use matches or lighter or to light the ghee wick and all this stuff. No, they use mantras to light up the fire. And that shows, if you are able to do that, then you are authentic Brahman. You're authentic Brahman. These days we don't have index to measure the authentic Brahmana. In those days they have index, authentic Brahmana index. He can light the fire. Oh, it's an authentic fire. It's authentic Brahmana. These days anybody can tie a thread. Say, I'm a Brahman. So, this is a misguided civilization. And those who think that they are born in Brahmin family, they are Brahmanas. I know one boy, he was born in Brahmin family, but that's why I told him to read the Bhagavad Gita, see the qualities of a Brahmana. I said, how many of those qualities you have? He doesn't have any. He doesn't have any. My friend. Okay? So, everything we have to do, we have to go according to the scriptures. And look at how dangerous it could be to live on this planet, or how dangerous it could be to read the Vedas, the Vedic literature, or even to read the Bhagavatam without commentary of the Acharyas. Okay, when you read these two verses, remove Prabhupada's commentary. What comes to your mind? Oh, I found in the Bhagavatam, this is what is required for sacrifice. Hey, let's go and make some sacrifice. But Prabhupada said in a purport that the required sacrifice in this age is not all of these animal sacrifices or rituals. Why? Because in the very next text, text 26, he mentions in the purport, these are fruitive activities. Fruitive activities. Fruitive activities means what? Who wants some results, material results. What is wrong with material results? What's wrong? Because we are material beings, we are embodied beings, and anything we want to do, we will have to square it up. What am I going to get from here? Even in relationships, if we try to figure out, what am I going to get from this relationship? We don't want to make any sacrifice, you know. So, and that is sad. That is one of the sad things in Kali Yuga. People are devoid of the willingness to perform sacrifice for the pleasure of Lord Vishnu or for the pleasure of Lord Krishna. And whether we like it or not, Krishna is the enjoyer of all sacrifices. We cannot dispute that. And the more we try to enjoy the results of our sacrifice, if even we engage in sacrifice, say fruitive sacrifices. So one may also question, so what's wrong with, the prescribed sacrifices in the Vedic literature? We are dealing with Yuga Dharma. In every age, we have Satya, Treta, Dwapara, and Kali Yuga. So in every age, there is a prescribed Dharma. That's the prescribed Yuga Dharma. The process of religious activities that will allow the denizens of the earth planet to attain perfection and at the end of this life have an ingress into the spiritual world. So if you just pick up any of the Vedic literature, Yajur, Sāma, Ṛg, and you start embarking on all of these sacrifices, because these books are required for sacrifices, you will not attain anything. Or you run into the forest to go and do meditation. But meditation, even the sitting posture alone, takes you some thousands of years to perfect it. People perform meditation for decades of thousands of years. And how many years can we live? How many? Yeah, at most maybe 100. If we live long. And when you live 100, it's a suffering. Because all your bones are completely gone. You can't digest anything. It's punishment. Sometimes, people tell me, oh, praying for your long life. I said, please withdraw this prayer. Can you retract your statement? Praying for long life for me means, hey, we want you to suffer more. You've not suffered enough. So, sometimes people are confused, and anyone could be confused. But the wise people, they make inquiries from saintly persons. And we have the case of King Nimi in the 11th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 5. King Nimi was making some inquiries from Yajendras. Who is the father of the Yajendras? Yes? Prabhus. Yes? And if you don't know, ask the Matajis, they will tell us. Yes? There was a discussion between the Yajendras and King Nimi. That is where this verse was recounted. Krishna Vanam Trizav Krishna Sangopagasta Pasad Jagai Sankirtana Praye Yajanti He Su made. Su is like in the superlative degree. We have beautiful, most beautiful. Intelligent, more intelligent, most intelligent. So Su is in the superlative degree. Those who are intelligent in Kali Yuga, Su made, they align with the process of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, chanting Krishna's names. So, in the discussion between the 9 Yajendras and King Nimi, Nimi was making inquiries about, he saw how challenging the material world is. Those who are intelligent, they know how challenging the material world is, and they want to find a way to extricate themselves from, again, having to come back. So King Nimi was making inquiries to figure out what the prescribed method of worship in Kali Yuga. And so the Yajendras, yes, who is the father of the Yajendras? Prabhus. I'm sorry, I like asking questions. Because at the end of the class, maybe we will not have any questions, so I like to warm up the questions. Yes? Okay, Matajis. None of them knows. Help us. Huh? What? What is it? Ishwaku. Yajendras? No, I'm not talking about the grandson. Who is the father of the Yajendras? I'm not talking about Nimi. Thank you. Yes, Mataji, who is the father of the Yajendras? Yes, anyone to help us? Okay, speculate. But speculation is not allowed. Who said Rishabhadev? You heard from the mothers. All right, the two of you are correct. So, and we know Rishabhadev had how many children? 100 of them. 100 of them. But Rishabhadev is not an ordinary person, the supreme. And so, these Yajendras are sons of, a part of Rishabhadev's family. And then King Nimi made inquiries from the Yajendras. And look at the quality of the sages that he was making inquiries from, the direct sons of Rishabhadev. That's a very powerful association. And so, intelligent people, they're selective. Even in the association, they're selective. In the process of inquiries, they're selective. They don't just meet anybody on the road. He didn't just meet anyone on the road. Who is putting on a robe? And then asks, you have to, the sage, they have to have authentic background. So the Yajendras, they told Nimi, King Nimi, precisely, that in Kali Yuga, the chanting of Krishna's name is the predominant factor. And this will be exemplified by Lord Krishna himself, who is not blackish in complexion. Krishna, sometimes I reflect that, Krishna is perhaps too smart. When he came as Krishna, he didn't come black, because if he appears black, black people would say, oh, he's our God. He appears bluish black. So no one can claim that, oh, Krishna, he's our God. He looks like me. So Lord Chaitanya also is a similar scenario. He appeared in Bengal here, right here, in Mayapur. But he refused to appear. He refused to have the skin texture of the traditional Mayapuris or Bengalis. Appeared in a golden form. Have you ever thought about this? Krishna is super smart, so that no one will claim him that he belongs to me. One young boy was telling me how he has excelled in a sports career. So it's like a guru. And then the people who never even saw him, they claim on the internet, oh, he's my son. But the fact is that they are from his father's family, and he never had met them before. His mother was the one who sponsored him to college, and he has excelled in sports. And here someone is saying on the internet that he's tagging his pictures to some of his friends, and then saying, oh, you see, he is the bedrock of my family. He's my son. Just see how he has excelled. So he said he was so upset. But the point is, the point I'm trying to draw from this story is that we like to claim people, especially successful people. And so, Lord Krishna, when he comes, or when he came, he assumed a bluish, blackish color. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he came, also he appeared golden. And so, but then the texture of the skin was not the issue. What was his message? We judge people by what they say. I remember when we have an understanding of someone, we tend to appreciate that person better. If we understand their values, their background, we may decide to make them friends or not. So, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he came, the whole idea was to spread the message of Krishna consciousness. The message of Krishna consciousness that he spread was mainly to chant the holy names, the Yuga Dharma. And that legacy has been passed on to us by Prabhupada. So chanting the holy names has made so many people perfect. It's a simple process. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. This is the recommended sacrifice for this age. Sankirtana praye. Jagya Sankirtana praye. So just like someone is involved in sacrifice, sitting around the sacrificial fire, they are very attentive, superlatively attentive. The holy name also requires superlative attention when we chant. The same holy name is being chanted by everyone in our movement, but the advancement is different. In some temples, they regularly chant the 10 offenses to be avoided in the process of chanting the holy names. In some of the temples, people grow up, get old, and die, and they don't even know that there are 10 offenses to be avoided in the process of chanting the holy names. So, if this is what will enable us to attain perfection, I think that we should take it seriously. I think we should take it seriously because, hey, do you mean to say we are not taking it seriously? Some of us are taking it seriously. Some of us are not taking it seriously. You can ask me, what's my proof? Just by observation during japa, we know that some of us are not taking the process, the process of self-realization in Kali Yuga passed down to us by Lord Chaitanya seriously. So we make the whole process complicated. And then we complain, I have been chanting Krishna's name for the past 20, 30, 40 years. Why is my mind still very disturbed? But what is the bhava with which we chant the holy names? I remember just a couple of weeks ago, I had a friend who visited here, a young boy from one of the neighboring states. So, we were chanting. He was sitting also near by the prop where some devotees chant by Prabhupada Asana there. And so, I just turned on to see how he's doing, and I saw that he was making a call during the japa. So after the japa, I said, but you have the whole 24 hours of the day to do your phone call. And this is the only period that you should be talking with Krishna. You should be having a meeting with Krishna. You should be chanting and focusing on hearing, and you were using that period to chant, to call someone on the phone, I said, it's not proper. He begged, he was not sorry. I said, it's not me. You're my friend. I see this. If I don't tell you, I'll be cheating you. And we have so many cases like that. And so it is important that we give time to Krishna. If you have a wife, or if you have a spouse, and even in devotional service, you get too busy, and you don't give quality time to your spouse, and the excuse is that, I'm so busy with seva, I'm so busy with seva. Then you don't need a spouse. If seva keeps you very busy, that you don't have to give quality time to your spouse, to your wife and children, or to your husband and your children, then you don't need a spouse. Just be married to Krishna, so that you don't get someone to be offensive towards you. Similarly, if we want to revive our relationship with Krishna, we have to give quality time to Krishna. Just like no woman is satisfied with your billions of dollars for pocket money or for feeding a family. Billions of dollars you're giving, that's good. But they also need your quality time. Similarly, Lord Krishna needs our quality time. So chanting Krishna's name looks like a simple thing, but we make it complicated. Because we are not able to apportion quality 2 hours to Krishna out of 24 hours, to give 2 hours to Krishna. That is not a big deal. But that is what will enable us to attain perfection. The quality time we give the chanting can be done anywhere, anyhow, with any type of consciousness. But that is not going to enable us to have an ingress into the spiritual world. It's not going to enable us to remember Krishna at the time of death. Or it's not going to enable us to remember Krishna when we are in danger. The love we have for Krishna, the bhava we have when we are chanting Krishna's name, is what determines our next level of Krishna conscious elevation. How many people here have attended japa retreats? Japa retreats? Japa retreats? The japa retreats are very important. And even right here in Mayapur, I think we should be conducting some, japa retreat sections. Because the chanting of Krishna's name is the foundation, is the bedrock of our Krishna consciousness activities. We shouldn't think there is something more important than chanting Krishna's name. Everything else we are doing is to help us to chant Krishna's name better. Everything, even to do pujari work, is to help expedite the purification, to concentrate on the holy names. And sometimes we miss out this point. We think there is something more important for us to do. So, the sacrifices, so many sacrifices are there. Different types of sacrifices are prescribed in the Vedic literature. But what is prescribed for us in Kali Yuga is the Sankirtan Jagya, following the footsteps of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Any comments on these points? Yes.
I discovered a way to attend a japa retreat every day. I've been doing it for the last 4 years. Good. And actually every morning now there's a group of like 10 to 15 devotees that meet in front of Srila Prabhupada's Samadhi at 5:30 a.m. and we go on a japa walk. But before we start the japa walk, we read from japa affirmations. It's a book compiled, it's kind of the cream of 18 years of japa retreats with devotees like Giriraj Swami, Indradyumna Swami, Satchidananda Swami, Burijan Prabhu. And it's amazing, you know, how the devotees that are doing this, you know, the transformation they're going through in their japa. I've been reading one japa affirmation every day for the last 4 years. It takes me about 3 or 4 minutes to do it, and the results are like, it's mind-blowing, you know, how much better my japa is from doing that. I've actually distributed 1,600 of these books in the last 3 years, and here in Mayapur. And many devotees have come back to me and said, wow, this is incredible. Usually I have them with me, but I was racing to come to your class, Maharaj, and I didn't bring any. But it's remarkable. I've attended a lot of japa retreats over the years, but this is really something you can kind of keep the ball rolling. A lot of times devotees go to japa retreats and their japa improves for a couple of weeks, but then, oh, back into the old patterns. So this is a way you can keep it fresh.
Thank you. Any other comments?
It's amazing that the 98%, actually I was listening to a class that Burijan gave on Bhagavad Gita, and I think it's 98% of the Vedas are karma kanda. He actually gave the number of verses. It's something right around 98%. So there, and then here there's discussion here in the purports of what the ingredients. So there, you know, I'm teaching right now the 3rd and 4th chapters of Bhagavad Gita in Sri Mayapur International School, and there's some advantage for doing this, you know, if it's done properly, because it actually, we recognize there's a higher power than ourselves. We can't do it on our own. And then gradually, you know, through the yoga ladder, one comes to the point of recognizing that the most important sacrifice that I can perform is give my life to Krishna. And of course in Kali Yuga, as you mentioned, it's the chanting of Hare Krishna. So, you know, some of these sacrifices, you know, I'm just so amazed at the level of piety of people in Bengal, or at least a lot of them. And, you know, they do these different yajñas and whatever, but then they're just, you know, Prabhupada said that, you know, for someone to become a devotee, to make a devotee in India, you just have to scratch the surface, and it's right there. In America, it's a lot more difficult, you know, because here there's so much piety. So there's some value, but the point is, you know, that the Yoga Dharma is chanting Hare Krishna, so that, as you mentioned, deserves our highest priority. We should organize our whole life to optimize. I think you mentioned that too. So
thank you. Any other comments or questions?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, what exactly is Japa retreat program?
Oh, Japa retreat. It's a retreat. You know what is a retreat, right? It's a retreat where devotees congregate, or they come together and help themselves to improve their values in Krishna consciousness through proper japa, proper and learning how to chant Krishna's name. And I know in some of the retreats, they chant 64 rounds. And so, by the time they leave the retreat, it is very difficult for them to fall below 16 rounds a day. So, Japa retreat helps us to attain what we call in management science stressed goals. Stressed goals means For instance, we are required, those who are initiated are required to chant 16 rounds. And someone who is embarking on stretched goals is anticipating that one day I may fall so sick, or my body and mind may be so disturbed, and I may not be able to chant the prescribed number of rounds I'll be chanting. So instead of chanting 16 rounds, they're chanting 48 rounds. Or instead of chanting 16 rounds, they're chanting 32 rounds. Or instead of chanting 16 rounds, they're chanting 25 rounds. So the day that they are sick, the body cannot perform, so great. So then they fall down. And they fall down in their number of rounds and the quality of rounds, but they don't fall below the requirement for their vows, the vows they've taken during initiation that they have to chant 60 rounds. So the japa retreat helps us to sustain our Krishna consciousness. It raises the bar it helps us to raise the bar in quality and in quantity of the phenomenon of japa, or chanting Krishna's names. We have about few more minutes.
Maharaj, so in this purport, Prabhupada says about, only the yajna that will work in this Kali Yuga is Sankirtan yajna. But even in our movement, we see there are so many temples perform so many yajnas. So how to understand this? Like for different reasons, different occasions, they do different yajnas. So how to reconcile and understand this?
Yeah. Now, people perform different yajnas, but the utmost yajna in this age, is to chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Sometimes, like the Satyanarayana Puja, I've seen also devotees engage in Satyanarayana Puja. In some of these Satyanarayana Puja kathas, they tell some story about some heavenly story. Say maybe Indra committed an offense, and he's punished or whatever. And when they hear those type of stories, the Satyanarayana Puja aims to take you to the heavenly planets. And so the intelligent person, when he hears that the king of heaven is not even himself perfect. He commits crimes. So then the intelligent person, after hearing this type of katha, he thinks, wait a minute, I don't want to go to heaven. If that place, the person who is the president, who is in charge, himself is, is a criminal. He commits crime. So in a sense, it helps to elevate people who have, low consciousness. Some people, they can't just take everything in Krishna consciousness, hook, line, and sinker. They can't take everything, as it is. So they want to perform this, they want to perform that, they want to engage in this, engage in that. That's okay. But ultimately, the Krishna consciousness movement is providing an avenue where we can go back to Godhead. And those who want to go back to Godhead must chant the Hare Krishna mantra, prescribed number of rounds daily. So we cannot stop people from performing sacrifices. But we have to look at what is the benefit of a specific sacrifice and what, vice versa, the benefits of chanting Hare Krishna. It is prescribed. You won't go to the clinic, doctor diagnoses you, finds your ailment, he prescribes some medicines for you. You may go to the pharmacy and buy some medicine off the counter. A prescribed medicine has to come with a doctor's note. Then the pharmacist will be able to release it to you. I don't know what is the situation in India, but in America, this is the procedure. You don't go and get a medicine from the pharmacy without a doctor's prescription. So the prescription for to deal with our diagnosis in this age is to chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And if we do this, we become pure. We will give up sinful desires. We'll give up sinful activities. Sinful desires will be uprooted. And so we have to choose what do we want. This is what is prescribed. If we teach our children, we teach our community, we teach our dependents something else, that may sound great, but will that enable the person to go back home, back to God? Does it make some sense, Prabhu? Yeah. I mean, it's like, you see someone who is not maybe taking their chanting seriously, and you say, well, that Mataji, she's not chanting. Let me also not chant. But people, we are in Krishna consciousness. We have been chanting. Even for those who are chanting, we have different levels of consciousness, and so we don't attain the same results. I mean, it's like someone who is going to the altar. Pujaris, two pujaris, they go to the altar. Their consciousness is completely different. They don't get the same results. It's the same deities, the same altar. So in a similar way, we chant, but we don't get the same results because we can never have the same bhav for Krishna. And so we should look at what Prabhupada did. Look at the procedures that Prabhupada has given to us. We can look at what the Puranas have prescribed in terms of what to do to free ourselves from stagnation in Krishna consciousness. And so that makes a lot of sense for any intelligent person. But we should not say, well, everyone else, so many people are doing some Satyanarayan puja, they're doing that puja and that sacrifice. Hey, tell me how to do this puja. We should not be interested in what is going to give us temporary results. If someone has some situations where they'll do a specific puja, let's say they have to perform Sringadev puja and all these things, it's understandable. But when we have to go into real fruitive, like Prabhupada mentions in the text, purport of text 26 of this very chapter, that all of these sacrifices are fruitive activities. In other words, they will not enable us to get out from this material world. They will not facilitate emancipation from the material world. So we have to think about what we need to do and how we want to go about it. Yes. In the absence of any other comments, you have something else to say?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Maharaj. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. In the absence of any other comments or discussions, we'd like to adjourn this meeting. Again, thank you very much for participating in this Bhagavatam class. Srila Prabhupada ki, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.